the War of Independence ended. I had to serve 2 years, and army service became very boring to me, despite the fact that I was employing at the time also to study math. And I said to Netanyahu, it's a way to get me out of here and to get me into the university. So Netanyahu wrote a letter to Frankel, who was a professor of mathematics at the Hebrew University.
And he is the uncle of Aviezri Frankel from our department at Weizmann. We mentioned one uncle.
Yes.
So you had two teachers who were uncles of people that we know.
So Netanyahu Elisha wrote to Frankel and said, I have this good young man. He deserves to get out of the army earlier. There's no war anymore. And to come to the university. So Frankel invited me to talk to me, and I went to Jerusalem on a weekend where I had leave from the army and visited him Saturday afternoon. So Frankel was sitting in his living room and examining me. And he examined me on number theory, group theory, and so on. Now, at one point there was another young man sitting there who was already studying physics at the university, again much older than I am, relatively much older than I am, and he tried to inject an answer to a wrong answer to one of Frankel's questions to me. And Frankel, who was pretty brutal, turned to him and said, "Idiot, shut up," and continued talking to me. So while we were sitting there, as was customary in those years in Jerusalem, professors used to visit one another. And Gershom Scholem, the famous Kabbalist, who started as a mathematician, came to visit Frankel.
He was eventually the first president of the Israel Academy of Sciences.
Correct. So Frankel says to Scholem, here I have young Rabin, who wants to study mathematics at the university, but according to what I'm examining him and the books he tells me he has studied, I don't see much that he can learn at the university, so I don't know what to do with him. And Scholem smirked and said, well, give him a few volumes of Krelle's journal in German, Krelle's journal of mathematics. He may find new material unknown to him in those journals. At any rate, Frankel wrote to the army authorities.
Got you off the hook.
Got me off the hook. And I went to the Hebrew University, and essentially I was admitted into the second, third year. Nothing in the first year, calculus and so on, that I could have studied, and I studied for 3 years at the Hebrew University. Now, while there, I concentrated mainly on logic, set theory with Frankel, and I read Kleene's book on meta-mathematics.
But let's just take an imaginary question here. Suppose it was not Frankel who was there, but Frankel was not there. What would have did set theory and logic attract you, or was it just because of Frankel?
To some extent, but it was mainly Frankel.
But you might have gone into analysis, or
well, as a matter of fact, when it came time to do my master's thesis, I was also very interested in algebra. So I went to Jacob Levitsky, the algebra professor there, who was himself a student of Emmy Noether, and he told me to work on commutative rings. Now at the time, and maybe even now, it is customary that the master's thesis is mostly reading literature and summarizing some advanced articles. But I read Emmy Noether's article on the representation of ideals in commutative rings as a finite intersection of so-called primary ideas. She has proved that every ring with a minimum condition satisfies the intersection theorem. In my thesis, I discovered the precise, necessary, and sufficient condition
Both ways.
both ways for the intersection